There's a new Gallup poll out, and trust in media is at an all-time low. That's literal. It is an all-time low. So The Hill reports, Americans' trust and confidence in the mass media to report the news fully, accurately, and fairly has dropped to its lowest level in Gallup polling history, with 32% saying they have a great deal or fair amount of trust in the media, Gallup analyst Art Swift said. So just 32% trust the media. 32%. Meaning the overwhelming majority of the American people are like, fuck no, I don't trust that shit. So this is down 8 percentage points from last year. That's amazing. Gallup's research, they continue, Gallup's research on the subject of trust in media began in 1972. The number of Americans expressing such trust has decreased steadily in recent years, going below a majority level and staying there since 2007. So the trends are consistently down, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop. It doesn't look like it's going to even bottom out. Never mind fucking rebound and get above 50% somehow magically. Quote, over the history of the entire trend, Americans' trust and confidence hit its highest point in 1976 at 72% in the wake of widely lauded examples of investigative journalism regarding Vietnam and the Watergate scandal. Okay, now that's the really key important fact there that I need you to think about for a second. When Americans said, I trust the media the most, what was going on? Well, they just told you. There was the investigative journalism in Vietnam and the Watergate scandal. So the media at the time was the most adversarial it had ever been. I mean, the investigative reporting on Vietnam, it was amazing, guys, to the point where if you look at how they covered the Iraq War was super duper sanitized for everybody here in the U.S. You didn't get those, recordings of, hey, here's a village being blown up. Hey, here, people on the ground with cameras going around, whatever, talking to families in Iraq who've had their lives destroyed by the war, talking to different people who are part of this militia or that militia. We didn't get that. In fact, Bush made it so that we couldn't even see the flag-draped coffins of our soldiers coming back from Iraq. Virtual media silence on it. I mean, it's amazing. Now, in the Vietnam War, it was the exact opposite. There were journalists everywhere. That's why there's incredible footage of Vietnam. In fact, sometimes like the History Channel will play it today, all these documentaries and stuff, or just play that footage, and you really get to see what war is actually like. And so what happened is people were sitting at home, and they would see this on the news, and they'd be like, oh, whoa. No, this is like a real war going on. This is like, us versus the Viet Cong, and oh my goodness, eventually we got the Pentagon Papers leaked, and we learned that we use Agent Orange and napalm, and we were massacring civilians, and that was the point in many respects. So when journalism was most respected was when they were doing the most work they had ever done, and they were the most adversarial against the government, where they said, okay, no, I see what your official line is, government, but guess what? I just spoke to somebody on the ground over here, and they're saying the exact opposite of what you're saying, and we have it on video that indeed you did bomb a village and you did do X, Y, and Z. So most adversarial. Again, Watergate. I mean, just up the ass of the Nixon administration. You had, a media that did not take shit. They were looking for the facts, they were looking for the information and the data, and they were going to give it to the American people come hell or high water. That's what the whole point was. Now, compare that to what we got going on today. I've never seen a worse media in my entire life. I mean, the mainstream media is a fucking joke. It's a joke. So when you look at Fox News, let's take Fox News as just one example here. Don't worry, I'll rip on MSNBC too in a second. But Fox News is the Republican propaganda arm. That's what they are. They are the media outlet of the Republican Party. Period. That's it. Sure, there's a spectrum in there. Some people are more pro-Republican Party, and some are more just pro-conservative values in general. But, that's basically the whole point of Fox News is Republican propaganda. MSNBC, not liberalism, not progressivism. That's not what they represent. What do they represent? The Democratic Party. So when the party gets massively corporatist, whoop, look at that. All of a sudden you have apologists and defenders on MSNBC. You know, Rachel Maddow, who seemingly was a good liberal, now all of a sudden HRC can do no wrong because HRC is the nominee. And HRC is massively corporatist, of course. So you have one network that's the Republican propaganda arm, one network that's the Democratic propaganda arm. Okay, no wonder the American people are like, something smells fishy. I don't like the media right now. What's going on? They know they're being lied to. They know they're being lied to. Now, in step, CNN, all the different nightly news programs. They're horrific too in their own way. So if MSNBC and Fox News represent the parties, what do the other networks represent? They represent the establishment. So that's why you get the false neutrality from those networks, because they're trying their best to represent both parties. So what they'll do is, if there's a relevant story involving politics, they'll go to one party and say, okay, DNC, what do you say about this scandal? Okay, here's our written statement. Got it. RNC, what's your response? Okay, here's your written statement. Got it. Then you have some fucking bobblehead like Wolf Blitzer, who's got an IQ of -13, go on air and he reads both of them. Well, the DNC says blah, blah, blah. The RNC says blah, blah, blah. And I leave it up to you, the American people, to decide which is right. All right, moving on to the next story. Man, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Am I right? So you have a sensationalism bias, anything to get eyeballs that's not substantive, hence the Kim Kardashian shit and all that other nonsense. And you have the establishment bias and the neutrality bias, which are basically linked, which is, okay, we're going to represent the establishment also because we want access, and also because we don't want to offend anybody, so we'll give the Republican side, the Democratic side, and always call it 50-50 no matter what. So the American people can smell this from a mile away, because it's gotten, honestly, it's basically a caricature of itself at this point. When you have on Bill Nye the Science Guy and Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn to debate climate change, and one person's position is it's a hoax, and the other one is like, wait, no, I'm the science guy. I know it's not. And they just present it like 50-50, what are you going to do? Okay, it wasn't that long ago. People forget this. It was in like 2008, 2009. CNN would still have people on. Okay, you're going to debate the evolution side. You're going to debate the intelligent design side. Go. When your false balance is so bad that you can't take the most obvious thing. I mean, you might as well have somebody out there. All right, you're going to do the reproduction debate. You're going to say that, women get pregnant. You're going to say that it's the stork. Like, that's close to what you're fucking doing at that point. It's close to, okay, flat earth, you take the flat earth position. This is what's going on. But it's like this with everything. And so what's dead? What's sacrificed? What's not even considered on any of the main networks? Truth. Objectivity. This is why the numbers are going so low. Because it's so obvious that the system is broken. It's just so beyond clear. So now, hopefully, what I'm trying to do, what others are trying to do, what many in new media are trying to do is revive journalism. Now, I don't lie to you guys and say I don't have an opinion. Everybody knows I have an opinion. That's obvious. But I try to give you the facts, the data, the information, and then give you my take on it. I try to not just, okay, here's my take. I try to get, okay, here's the data, and then let me explain my take, and you know when I'm giving you my take, and you know what actually is the data. I mean, this isn't a thing. There's nothing that's genuine. There's nothing that's real. There's nothing that's even an attempt to get at truth in mainstream media, which is why, these numbers are tanking. And I don't see them rebounding unless, of course, you give new media more time to surpass, which I think eventually we will completely, these networks in numbers. And we're already beating, for example, some midday shows on CNN. Not that that's anything to brag about, but our daily numbers versus their midday numbers. So you just got to give new media some more time. And also, by the way, I want to be clear about something. Everything that I'm saying right now, this in fact does not apply to print outlets, because print outlets do a superb job. That's how I get my information for this show. I mean, there's a lot of outlets online and there's so many of them that it's hard for any individual site to get so much traffic. because the internet is gigantic and you have a bunch of sites that are actually doing good print work. So I want to give credit to them and let them know you're exempt from all my criticism. My criticism is geared towards, the main networks on TV, basically. But unfortunately, still a decent number of people, when you combine them all together, all the different networks, they get their information from TV. Well, we're trying to bust that up, and we're trying to let people know, all right, we know you don't trust them, and you're right to not trust them. But give us a shot, because I guarantee you I'm going to do my best day in and day out to be as accurate and objective as possible. I'm not going to toe a party line, and I'm not going to do false balance, and I'm not going to care about neutrality over objectivity. We care about objectivity first, which is facts above all else.